A NATO country is answering Ukraine's urgent call for fighter jets.
W pierwszej kolejności dosłownie w ciągu najbliższych dni rzeczywiście.
Poland says it will send 4 MiG-29 fighter jets within days to Ukraine, the first allied country to do so. Ukrainian pilots are trained to fly the Soviet-era planes. President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly asked for jets to effectively fight against Russia's invasion, but Western allies have to this point resisted. Witold Dzielski is Poland's ambassador to Canada. Ambassador, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
You're sending jets. You're the first country to do that. Is Poland taking this step alone, or do you expect other allies to join in?
As you know, Poland has been on the lead in terms of support for Ukraine on many aspects. In terms of tanks, we were recently, in terms of tanks, we were also the country that led the charge, so to speak. The numbers of tanks that we delivered so far, and including the deliveries that are coming up soon, is over 350. The conversation on the jets is not a new conversation. We've been in that conversation for some time, but we are indeed moving forward with this. It was in the announcement of the Polish President Andrzej Duda, followed by the government representatives, including the Deputy Prime Minister Mariusz Błaszczak. We are moving forward, and we are interested in building the coalition. We are working in close cooperation in our Slovak partners on that topic.
Okay, so you mentioned the Slovak partners, because up until this point, I believe the position from Poland has been you would only send fighter jets if a coalition of countries would also agree to do that. So is that coalition forming? Is it going to be broader than Poland and your Slovak partners?
This is our hope. I have too little detailed knowledge on the conversations which are not open to the public. But the conversations have been going on with a number of partners. The conversations that are made public are those with the government and partners in Slovakia.
Do you think this puts pressure on the other countries that have been asked for jets and have so far refused?
This is the way we and like-minded countries operated so far, because pressure was required in terms of military supplies, in terms of political pressure, also in terms of moving forward with the opening of the perspective for Ukrainians to join the European Union. There was always an element of pressure, persuasion, I would say, and this is an important element because the countries in the eastern flank of NATO, Poland, Baltic countries, Slovakia, as we can see, Romania, other partners, they simply know what we are dealing with. So it's the term pressure is a negative, may be considered a negative term. It's rather persuasion by the countries that understand the reality.
So is that part of this decision? You took this decision as a country to maybe persuade the Western Europe and North American allies to get on board with the fighter jets?
We definitely hope that this will be an element and is an element of persuasion. And we are in a different situation today than we were a couple of months ago when this conversation was taking place. There was little space for that kind of conversation. But today it's either we sit back on a couch and observe as Ukrainians are dying and the Ukraine is being destroyed on all possible levels. And we agree that the Russian preference is to keep the frozen conflict or proxy conflict in the region, or we simply provide a little bit of additional help. And my sense is that with the situation today, it's not that much of a help that Ukrainians need at this point, but it needs to be a solid and united support.
You mentioned that difference in mindset. You, the Baltic countries, your Slovak partners, they're right there, right? So they know what they're dealing with in Russia. A year into this, does that split in perspective still exist within NATO and the allies? I mean, surely France, Germany, the United States are alive to the reality of Russia at this point.
We stand united. It's and you know, I wouldn't say that within the democratic world, conversations are a natural, thing. We just talk to each other, persuade each other about certain things. And today we are in a different situation than we were a couple of months ago. Everybody stands united for Ukraine. All serious partners are providing support, whether it's financial, humanitarian, political, or military. European Union stands for Ukraine, North America stands for Ukraine, and these are the important.
But, we've heard this argument from officials in the U.S. and other allies that jets from the U.S. and the U.K. that it would be impractical to send them because they require considerable training, and Russia has this extensive anti-aircraft systems that could easily shoot them down. It seems like your decision to send MiGs is kind of a rebuttal and rejection of that argument. Is that a fair assessment?
MiGs can be operated by Ukrainians right now. It requires little, preparation on the side of Ukrainian Air Force. So this is doable. And also, whatever the topic earlier, with the tanks, we also had a conversation on, how much it would take to prepare Ukrainians to be able to use that kind of modern equipment. It seems that it is possible to prepare Ukrainians much faster than some of the experts suggested.
They have quite an incentive to learn, right? So, I mean, how quickly will these jets arrive? President Duda said within a few days. I mean, I know you're not going to tell me the delivery date. You don't want to say when you're shipping these things in, but how quickly are we talking here?
It's, from the Ukrainian perspective, as soon as possible. And this is how it's going to happen, but it requires obviously time for different practical reasons.
There are some NATO members opposed to the alliance getting more involved in this conflict, countries like Hungary. Any concern that sending fighter jets could be seen as a provocation to broaden the war? I know this has been the concern from the beginning with some key members of NATO.
Well, again, it's, all the countries, and we have conversations internally in different countries, and you have people that are, for this or that. That's a natural phenomenon. I think we are in a situation, again, as I mentioned before, it is in the interest of Russia to build yet another frozen conflict on its border. It is in their interest to build a proxy war. This is not a good situation. This is not a solution for our countries. We don't like war. We don't like the war atmospherics, and we don't like see people being killed and murdered, raped, and cities being destroyed. So it's either we provide that support that Ukrainians have been asking from us for, as soon as possible, or we will end up in a situation which is in the interest of Putin. And the latter option is not a positive one.
So you're taking this step because you want to end this conflict as quickly as possible. You want to give Ukraine every advantage it needs and can get in the battlefield to push Russia back and end this. Yeah. What will it take for you to persuade the other NATO allies to match you in providing air power to Ukraine, do you think?
Well, it's not everybody has MiGs, and MiGs are right now a topic. So there are countries that have MiGs that are able to provide, and these are mostly countries of the NATO eastern flank. But there are other countries who can provide other support, including backfilling. So if there is a need, to provide aircraft to the countries that provide MiGs, that's a topic for.
Have you gotten that assurance? I know Poland was asking the United States to do that, for example, when MiGs first entered the conversation.
Poland we are conducting huge purchases, military purchases for a number of recent years, because we had the sense of what is happening in the region. We were getting prepared. So we've purchased a number. We have at this point, I think, about over 50 F-16s. We've purchased F-35s from United States, and they're coming in years to come. We've purchased recently fighter jets from South Korea. So we are advanced in that process. But it is a topic for discussion. I'm sure those discussions are happening between appropriate politicians right now.
The initial shipment of MiGs is 4. I've seen reporting between 10 and 19, I believe, is sort of the range that President Duda has spoken of. Help me understand how much of a difference can 4 MiGs, 10 MiGs, 19 MiGs make in the battle for Ukraine?
I'm not a military person, so I will not give you the details, but the fact is that since the beginning of war, Russia had an advantage in the air. Because of the advantage in the air, they were able to kill more civilians and destroy more of infrastructure, strategic infrastructure, not only fight the military. So if we can do some good in changing this situation and balance sort of the playing field, this is to the advantage of Ukrainians.
Okay, one final topic just to quickly touch on with you. Politico is reporting, and we've had U.S. warnings about China potentially sending military aid to Russia. Politico is now reporting there have been direct shipments of Chinese assault rifles to Russia, as well as drone shipments and body armor that were routed through Turkey and the United Arab Emirates. Do you have any reaction to the news? How should countries react to this reporting on what China has apparently done?
Well, first of all, it's at this point it is, I understand, a media report, so this is something that needs to be clarified. But we need to, Poland wants to, and for all of our countries, to have good relations with China for all the possible reasons. And my sense is that it is in the interest of China to have good relations with the European Union, with North America. For business reasons as well. I mean, it's much better, my sense is, for the Chinese to sell everything they've been selling so far to European Union and to North America instead of selling a couple of rifles to the Russians. It makes, in terms of business, it makes much more sense.
Okay. Ambassador, thanks so much for your time as always.
Thank you so much. Thanks.